Today, we're talking about interest rates because they're going up at a pretty good clip. So today, this video will give you some ideas on what you can do about that, some ways to lower that interest rate. And usually, that's done by paying cash upfront to the lender for a lower rate, sometimes called discount points. So what you do is you just buy down your rate, and now that the market's slowing down a bit, sellers are going to be more likely to consider concessions like a cash contribution to your closing costs, which you can use to buy down your interest rate. And by the way, if you'd like to contact us, our contact information is below in the description down there. So here's how points work, how much they cost, and how much they lower your interest rate. 1 point will cost 1% of the mortgage amount. For a $200,000 mortgage, 1 point would equal $2,000. 2 points equals $4,000. A 2-point buy down does not mean your rate will go down 2%. A lot of people think that, but it ain't true. It's usually a fraction of that. A lender's going to say something like, decreasing your interest rate by 1% will cost you X discount points. For example, say reducing the rate by 1% will cost 4 points, $8,000 on a $200,000 mortgage. So you'd pay $8,000 to the lender in order for him to lower your rate by 1%. If rates are currently 7%, that would mean your buy down would be 6%. On a $200,000 mortgage, that's going to save you $132 a month. Before doing a buy down like this, you really need to consider how long it's going to take to pay off that $8,000 with the savings it produced. At $132 a month, it's going to take 5 years to pay back the cost of the buy down, $8,000. You'll basically break even in 5 years. So if you're going to be in the house longer than 5 years, it may very well be worth it, because for the next 25 years after that, you'll have that lower payment. And that example is for a permanent buy down where the interest rate lasts for the entire length of the mortgage. Another type of buy down is a temporary buy down. So you buy down the rate for a limited amount of time. It allows you to lower your interest rate for a few years at the beginning of the mortgage, but eventually your rate returns to normal. The most common temporary buy downs are 3-2-1 buy downs. That's buying it down for 3 years. 2-1 buy downs, that buys it down for 2 years. And typically on these temporary buy downs, the rate goes up 1% a year till it reaches the permanent rate. So if rates are 7% for a 3-year buy down, year 1 would be 4%. And then it would go up 1% till year 4, where it goes back to the permanent rate, 7%. And stay there for the life of the loan. A temporary buy down will probably cost less up front, but you only get that rate for a few years, so it's probably going to cost more in the long run. You are basically paying for a preset adjustable rate. And before going that route, I would check with some local lenders on the terms of a regular adjustable rate and compare the two. You don't buy points to get a regular old-time adjustable rate mortgage. You know, and if you are paying, or you're going to pay off that mortgage pretty soon, I would consider adjustable rate. We have a client who is shopping for a home here. He has a home in Maryland, and he is going to buy a home here and then sell that home in Maryland. And when he does sell that home, he's going to pay off the home he has here. So he's only going to have that mortgage for a little while. So he's looking at an adjustable rate. And there's a local bank here that has a really good deal on adjustable rates. They have low closing costs, no prepayment penalty. So in his situation, I think it's a really good idea. So should you consider buying down your rate, either on a permanent basis or a temporary basis? If you go the permanent route, check how much it costs and how long it's going to take to pay off the cost of the buy down. For a temporary buy down or a regular adjustable rate mortgage, the consideration there is if you believe interest rates will go down and you plan on refinancing when they do. Really, I haven't seen anything indicating that interest rates are going to go down anytime soon. The other consideration that I just mentioned is if you're going to pay off the mortgage fairly soon and you want a lower rate until you can do that. If neither of those conditions apply to you, probably the better option is going to be a permanent buy down, depending on how much the lender is going to charge you to get that lower rate and how long it's going to take you to pay off the cost of the buy down with the savings it produced. If you go for the buy down, you can ask the seller to contribute to that. If you do decide to ask for a seller concession to buy points or pay closing costs, keep in mind, from the seller's point of view, you are lowering your net offer for the house. So if you offer $300,000 for a house and ask the seller to pay $9,000 toward your closing costs, which you could use to purchase points, your net offer is $291. Before the market took off, asking for seller concessions was pretty common. But I tell you what, for the last couple of years with this crazy market, I haven't seen it. But that could change now that the market is slowing down and there's going to be less competition for homes. The rise in interest rates is sort of a good news, bad news kind of thing for buyers. As the interest rate goes up, the amount of house you can afford goes down. That's the bad news. The good news is a higher rate will bring down demand, so there's not as much competition for homes. And that means sellers may be more likely to consider concessions. One of those concessions could be a credit or subsidy in the form of a cash contribution to the buyer, which could be used to buy discount points to lower your interest rate. All right, I hope that was clear. There's another video over there. It's pretty good. It's about some red flags to look for when you are previewing homes, and it'll help you spot possible major problems before you put an offer on the house. And be sure to contact us if you need help in the real estate department. And I thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Bye.